The count is on, everyone. Today makes it 49 days since Bola Tinubu became president, and we're back following developments in his first 100 days in office. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Coming up on the show today, National Woman Leader of the APC, Dr. Betta Edu, and former federal lawmaker Kehinde Odeneye join me to discuss new developments within the APC as National Chairman and National Secretary of the ruling party resigned just a day before the now rescheduled National Caucus and NEC meeting. You can join the conversation now on Twitter. Remember to use the hashtag first100days, tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Now, President Bola Tinubu is expected back in Nigeria after participating in the 5th mid-year coordination meeting of the African Union. The president arrived in Nairobi on Saturday to participate in the meeting where he presented the report on the status of regional integration in ECOWAS, highlight actions carried out during the period under review by ECOWAS institutions, as well as other matters. This mid-year coordination meetings conveyed under the AU's theme for 2023, and it's tagged Acceleration of the African Continental Free Trade Area Implementation. The president, who's the chairperson of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, said coup d'etat should be discouraged in the continent, especially in the face of challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic, insecurity, and climate change.
Nigeria actually proved, her point that Africa must be stable, must be secured, even before any meaningful infrastructural development, economic activity can adequately and effectively take place. That was the main thrust of the address of our president there. Of course, he also presented the status report of the ECOWAS, the state of ECOWAS in terms of integration, in terms of free movement of people amongst the ECOWAS countries, in terms of security, stability, and political progress of West Africa.
So 5 years after the agreement was brokered by the African Union, there's still the need to get more countries on board to ratify, particularly the protocol on the movement of people and work towards deepening the economic integration on the continent. And that was the theme for the 5th mid-year AU meeting. The issues of rights of residents and establishment under the AFCTA are some of the big deals for Africa right now. Let's join our State House correspondent who is in Nairobi covering this story. President Tinubu in his speech highlighted the efforts made by the sub-region to implement the AFCFTA. Talk to us about how far West African countries have gone in this regard.
Well, out of 15 countries in West Africa, so far only 13 of these countries have ratified the agreement, that is the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. And President Tinubu is saying that it's a good success so far recorded, and efforts are still on to get everyone on board. And on the free movement of persons, well, ECOWAS has already commenced that action towards the implementation of the harmonized visa regime, that is the ECO visa by ECOWAS, to facilitate free movement of ECOWAS citizens. These are some of the requirements of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that would help eliminate all trade barriers and lift people in the region out of poverty. But there's still a challenge, and President Tinubu highlighted that a challenge among the African countries. They hardly do business among themselves. For now, the European Union is still the biggest trade partner of most of the ECOWAS member states, followed by countries in the followed by Arab countries and also some countries in North America and indeed South America. So, he's saying that, well, ECOWAS has made tremendous progress compared to other regions in Africa. ECOWAS is indeed making that considerable progress in achieving that agreement. But he says it is still work in progress. Infrastructure is already being put in place, especially the Lagos to Abidjan corridor, that would cost about $15 billion. He also highlighted some other basic achievements. I know the African Union was quite impressed with the level of success ECOWAS has achieved in this regard.
So the host president, Kenya President William Ruto, has been advocating a new global financial model for a while now, where power, according to him, isn't in the hands of a few. Remember, at the Paris summit, he talked about restructuring financial systems and why the resources shouldn't be controlled by, neither the World Bank or the IMF. Talk to us about his thoughts this time on the extension of debt repayment regimes in Africa.
Well, the Kenyan president believes that the debt stock in Africa is quite huge. And most of these multilateral financial organizations have described Africa as risky. They do not want to give loans to Africa. After the interest rates paid by African countries is quite high. He believes that this has slowed down the development in Africa. Africa has not been able to develop at the same pace with other European countries and the other developed economies in the world. So he believes that Africa should also be given some kind of waivers, especially in terms of debt forgiveness, and also should also be left off the hook in terms of some global commitment to issues, especially issues of climate change, because Africa contributes the least to global warming. If we look at COVID-19, Africa bears the huge part of the brunt of COVID-19, but it did not start from Africa. Most of the global problems are usually not from Africa, but the repercussion is usually felt by African countries. So he is asking for fairness, and he's asking that African countries should be treated as the same with the same way other countries, other economies are treated. He's just asking for fairness.
All right, we're expecting you back in Nigeria, and then we probably will explore more the highlights and the resolutions made at that meeting. We're also looking forward to how the AU will achieve a borderless Africa and create the much talked about single market of 1.3 billion people and the potential combined GDP of around $3.4 trillion. State House correspondent Femi Akonde live for us in Nairobi, Kenya. Well, it's now official that Senator Abubakar Kyari, Deputy National Chairman North of the ruling All Progressives Congress, has emerged acting National Chairman of the ruling party, and Festus Funta, acting National Secretary. And this follows the resignation of Senator Abdullahi Adamu as the party's National Chairman and Iyolo Mishoro as the National Secretary. 49 days of President Tinubu presidency, the APC is seeing what appears a massive change in its leadership. What happens to the party now moving forward? And when are we going to see the substantive election take place into what appears as vacant offices? To walk us through this now, I'm joined by National Woman Leader of the APC, Dr. Betta Edu, and Honorable Kendi Odeneye, who's a former federal lawmaker and also a former member of the National Executive Council of the APC. Thank you so much for finding time to join us. Dr. Edu, let me begin with you. Help us make sense of what happened today at the national headquarters of your party. 2 senior officials resigning in a day.
Well, like you rightly said, lots of reforms are going on in the party. It's an internal party affair, and the party is trying to really put its act together. By, of course, God's help and a lot of hard work, especially on the part of the candidates and their wives. Of course, women, other groups also gave a lot of support across the country. By hard work, we're able to scale through the last general elections. There were issues that were pending, things that ought to have been treated, and concerns from both party chieftains and other party members, really, on the leadership of the party. We're happy that they were able to respond to these concerns today and step aside. We're handing over acting positions to Senator Kyari and, of course, Mr. Funta.
Dr. Edu, were you at the end of the WC meeting yourself, and did you see all of this coming?
Well, we saw it coming in a way. And of course, this was owing to the fact that it was becoming not an inclusive matter in a way. We saw it coming, really, where we have senior party chieftains opposing what a majority of the party have decided on, or where you have some kind of internal crisis, and then you have the party leadership pitching sides against what the desires of all other chief stakeholders are. Of course, you begin to see that kind of situation coming. But beyond that, there were other internal crises that I probably will not be able to discuss here that went under the bridge that had to really take the bridge completely off.
All right, let me bring in Honorable Odeneye into this conversation. The news out there, Honorable, is that the national chairman, former now, and the former national secretary were under intense pressure to resign. What do you think happened? Honorable. Well, we'll get back to the former lawmaker in the course of this conversation. Remember to unmute your mic, Honorable, if you can hear me, so that we can have your contribution. But Dr. Edu, what does this mean for the ruling party? You know, because usually when we have this conversation, the answer we get is that there's nothing wrong within the party. Just hold that thought, Doctor. I understand that the Honorable is back. What do you think happened? The story online is that these two individuals were under pressure to resign, or they were going to be shown the exit door during the NEC meeting.
I think what we witnessed today is something that I had expected a very long time ago, because most especially for the party chairman, the national party chairman, who was supposed to be neutral even before the primary elections, the presidential primary elections. He was supposed to be neutral, but he was not seen to be that, to be neutral. And you will recall that he was so much involved in the politics of the presidential aspirants during that primary election. So I expected this, because we need to sanitize the party. The party must not be seen to be, the party officials are not supposed to be seen to be too political. I mean, siding one aspirant against the other. And that was exactly what happened during the primary elections. So ordinarily, after the general election, I expected that for the party to move forward, there was a need for some of the party ESCOs to actually step down, for new blood to come on board and move our party forward. We are the ruling party now, and we need to do things right. We need to put, the examples right there, in the right perspective for people to follow us. But you see, there was no way the national party chairman will be able to work hand in hand with the president now, when he was totally against and biased against him during the primary election. Recall that it was this same party chairman that announced that the former Senate president was the consensus candidate, whereas not all the national ESCO members were in his support. He even claimed to have the former President Buhari's backing during that period, which was later shown to be a total, I won't call it lie, but not correct. So we need someone to take the party to the next level that will be in compliance with the workings of the president. We don't want anybody that will share the party and will not be in compliance with the president's agenda for Nigerians. And that's exactly what I had expected this to happen before now. But thank God it's happening now. And I am happy it has happened. So we need a political party that will be in total support of his president, that will say the same thing the president wants to say, that will do the same thing the president wants to do, and that will carry Nigerians along, and that will make our party to be more stronger than it was before now.
So it's really interesting to hear you say that it's an anathema that the national chairman of a political party is being political. But what does this mean for the relationship between, President Tinubu and the former president, where you consider that the former national chairman is an ally of President Buhari?
I don't see anything, I do not see anything bad in what has happened. If you say the former chairman is an ally of former president, the current president too, President Tinubu, is also an ally of the former president. And the former president happened to be at that time, happened to be the leader of the party, which has been taken over by the current president now. So I don't think there's going to be any issue. Even the current president now, President Tinubu, also supported the idea of the former chairman becoming the chairman of the party. So if for any reasons the former chairman did not see a reason for aligning with the president and for being political before even the primary elections, it was supposed to be neutral for the party to be able to conduct a free and fair primary election, which he did not support because of his stance. I did not see anything happening between the former president and the current president now.
All right.
What is most important is for the party to move forward, and the party must support the ideas of the president. Do not forget also that the president now is the leader of the party, and he cannot work with someone that was against him becoming the president of this nation.
All right, Dr. Edu, back to you now, and this is more personal. Some APC members under the aegis of elected female national APC officers and zonal women leaders have passed a vote of no confidence on you in a petition written to President Tinubu. How do you react to this?
Well, that's laughable. It's quite funny that because you do not or you did not attend a single visit with the president, you think you can come together and write whatever you like on media because you can afford to pay the media. We're women, and we should be united and work together. And as much as possible, we try to carry everyone along. And of course, when we met Mr. President, we made an appeal for Nigerian women. Unfortunately, most women don't understand the power of unity, and this is what have kept women in politics at the back burner in Nigeria. So you have situations where we're busy trying to create divisions among ourselves, divisions that do not exist and should not exist. And while we are at that, the men folk are able to take over almost everything that should ordinarily come to us. These are critical times where we should be working together to achieve the result of having a 35% affirmative actions. Unfortunately, some sisters of mine felt aggrieved that they were not part of the visit to the president.
Talking about their grievances, Dr. Edu, if you allow me to butt in very quickly, you have been accused of sidelining them. According to them, you arranged some alleged fake women to see the president during a courtship visit. They also mentioned that you deliberately isolated them during the electioneering campaign, that you worked in isolation without synergy with your colleagues, the national women officials of the party and the zonal women leaders. Don't you think they have a point here?
No point whatsoever. So first and foremost, all the 36 state women leaders were present with the FCT woman leader, except for one state that was being represented in that room. Of course, the president himself, before people are allowed to see him, they'll be carefully screened. He saw his state woman leader from his state present there, Mrs. Jumoke Okoye, and every other state woman leader, they were all there. So it just simply shows you the falsehood of the latter and the fact that it has no truth in it whatsoever. It's just a group of aggrieved women. And of course, like I used to tell women, there are better ways to express your grievance. There's no way on earth we may want to sideline anyone. As long as you're a woman, we're happy to go along with you, but everyone cannot be present at every meeting at every time. No, it's not possible. So for this time, it was for the 36 state women leaders and the FCT woman leader. Those were the people that were officially invited. And then a few other persons were added on by, of course, the First Lady's office. And so those were the people that were supposed to be at that meeting. Of course, there are going to be several other engagements. Our dear president runs an open door policy, and there was really, really no need for people to get aggrieved over what you have many, many more opportunities to meet with Mr. President. To make this more clear on the election period.
As a challenge to mend, with this aggrieved women? There are about 9 of them who signed that letter. Or you're just going to let them be and leave them being aggrieved?
Oh, I've engaged with them. Of course, it's women, and it's our own way of expressing sometimes our grievance. I've engaged with them, and they would come around. We're sisters, we're together in this. The core focus of it is for us to give our total support to our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
All right.
He has done so well in the last 49 days, if I get my count correctly. He's done extremely well, and Nigerians are really very pleased with him. The women folk were solidly behind him, and of course, everyone must work together to ensure that he succeeds, and that's what we're doing. We're one united front. We'll continue to work with them. Most of them actually are not directly under me, so they should even be complaining that the party chairman did not take them. So if you're a deputy treasurer, that's not directly under the women's wing. If you're an ex-official, that's not directly under the women's wing.
Just before the Honorable accused me of sidelining him, just like you have been accused by your fellow APC woman, let me bring in the Honorable. So there's a lot of talk now, Honorable Odeneye. Mr. President has just about 11 days, as required by law, to submit that much talked about ministerial list to the National Assembly. There are talks about women representation and the need to inject new blood, younger people, not just the usual names, former governors and what have you. What are your thoughts along this line?
Yeah, I am actually in support of the women to be included in this government. And I want to give it to the national women leader. For the first time in the history of political parties activities, I saw Betty all over the states with the president during his campaign. And I was so amazed and impressed that we can have a woman leader that will be so involved. It has never happened before, not just in APC, but in every other political parties. Look at PDP, for instance. If you look at their campaign and Labour Party, these are 2 major political parties in Nigeria. I didn't see any woman called woman leader, national woman leader, so much involved in the campaign. So much that we saw of Betty. And I want to give it to her. And I'm also in support of the women, that they should be included. But I'm not too much in support of this 35% affirmative and also. They have worked. Even if they have to have 50%, let their work justify their inclusion. They have worked and they should be included. The issue of fresh blood and all sort of things, I want to give it to the president. He knows what to do, and I know that he's going to do the right thing. He has his team ready, and with all the distractions, and I know the president is not distracted at all. He has his team even before his election. He knew the people he's going to work with, and he still has them in place, and he's going to work with them, and he's going to take Nigeria beyond what we are witnessing presently.
Honorable, I don't have a gavel, but this is where you stop. I can see that Dr. Edu is all smiles. She agrees with you to an extent until when you mentioned the 35% affirmative action. But Doctor, we have to go now. Perhaps we'll find some other time to continue this conversation. National Women Leader of the APC, Dr. Betta Edu, former federal lawmaker and a former member of the APC NEC. Honorable Kendi Odeneye, thank you so much for talking to us on the program today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, that's our program. You can watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Uguntoye.